Have you ever heard the phrase, money is a great servant but a terrible master? You see, few people ever give this much thought, so they end up being mastered by money and are then confused why their finances are in turmoil. So how do you know if money is your servant or your master? Well, that's determined by your level of financial integrity, so it's important to understand what it is. Integrity means that something holds together and adheres to its purpose. When something breaks or falls apart, it loses its integrity. When you hear that a house has structural integrity, you probably picture it as a safe and a secure place for a family to live. It'll hold together well, thus fulfilling its purpose. Financial integrity is much the same. It implies strength and security when it comes to money. It involves making financial decisions that are integrated with your goals and your values to achieve a purposeful and prosperous financial life. So how do you develop financial integrity? Well, that's what this program's all about. It involves 9 distinct steps designed to help you build a debt-free and prosperous life. Each step is important to the whole, just like all the spokes of a wheel are important to maintaining the integrity of the wheel. When you give equal weight to all the steps, you'll be amazed how fast your financial life improves and how much smoother the ride will be. These steps will help you control your spending, get out of debt, and build savings without sacrificing what's important to you. In fact, these steps will help you reconnect with a greater meaning and purpose in your life and experience maximum fulfillment. To better understand this, let's take a look at what I refer to as the fulfillment curve. Let me ask you something. Do you believe that money makes us happy? Some people believe it does, and other people say no. We all have certain beliefs around money, but we need to examine those beliefs in order to weed out the ones that aren't working and replace them with ones that do. The truth is, we all spend money in an effort to try and make our lives better or happier in some way. When we're hungry, we might spend money on a piece of fruit and feel good. We might spend even more money buying enough food for a feast and feel even better. A simple graph can help us actually see the relationship between the amount of money that we spend, that's the line across the bottom, and the amount of satisfaction we feel as a result. That'd be the vertical line on the left. Let's use this model to take a closer look at how a typical relationship with money. As babies, we learned that if we cried when we were hungry or uncomfortable, somebody would come and take care of us. As we got older, we had to start filling some of those needs ourselves, and we learned to use money rather than crying to get what we needed. When we got out of school, we got a job to earn money to pay for our food, our clothes, and a place to sleep. We received fulfillment and satisfaction from taking care of ourselves. We spent money and we were fed, warmed, and sheltered, and we learned money equals fulfillment. This diagram shows that on the level of basic necessities, a little money can bring a lot of satisfaction. Now, as we go from buying necessities to buying comforts, our belief in the positive relationship between money and fulfillment gets even stronger. We're able to feed ourselves, but for more money, we can eat at a restaurant where someone else does the dishes. That would be comfort. The notion of more money spent equals more fulfillment is further embedded. Now, eventually, we start to spend beyond comforts to luxuries. For example, a car is a luxury to most people in the world, but most of us who own cars think that we'd be happier if we just had a luxury car. Or we'd be happier if we had a bigger house or a vacation home or a cruise to Hawaii, and the list goes on. Obviously, luxuries cost more than comforts and much more than necessities, and as you can see in this graph, it's taking more and more money for smaller and smaller amounts of fulfillment. Notice how the curve is starting to level out. Before long, we hit a fulfillment ceiling, and it looks like more is not better after all. The formula money equals fulfillment has not only stopped working for us, but has actually started to work against us. Our possessions have become burdens. Each new thing we buy costs us more money, time, and energy to learn how to use it, maintain it, accessorize it, store it, fix it, and pay interest on the payments for it. Everything after the peak of the fulfillment curve becomes excessive clutter, and it's downhill from there. So why doesn't money equal fulfillment work anymore? Well, there's a principle in economics called the law of diminishing returns. Think of it in terms of a piece of cake. The first bite is really good, and so is the second, and even the third. It tastes great, the sugar kicks in, you feel happy, and your stomach is full. But if you keep eating after you're full, you get a bellyache. The point of maximum fulfillment on this curve is at the peak, or the apex. So we call that peak enough, and each of us has to determine for ourselves where that point is. So how do we know when we have enough? Well, it's when we have enough for our survival, for our comforts, and even some luxuries, but there's nothing in excess to burden us or complicate our lives. It's maximum fulfillment without that constant yearning for more. By recognizing enough, we can master our relationship with money instead of being mastered by it. Now, it takes certain skills and qualities to reach enough, to recognize when you've reached enough, and to stay near that peak of the fulfillment curve without falling back into deprivation or down into gluttony. So, here's some tips for your success. Take a little time, look around at some of your individual possessions, and ask yourself, how much fulfillment are you getting from this item? Is it in proportion to the money that you spent or are currently spending? Would you rate it as a necessity, a comfort, a luxury, or clutter? This exercise can help you see the effects of the fulfillment curve in your own life. You may find that you have more to appreciate in your life than you realized. It'll also help you declutter your life, and if you keep this idea in mind before making future purchases, it'll make it much easier to identify and avoid wasteful spending. Well, that's it for this video. I'm Dave the Debt Doctor, and I look forward to sharing more with you next time as we explore Step 1 in the Financial Integrity Program.